chair.
Nope.
No, you're not, I'm gonna get it one. He's a big cheater, that guy, you gotta watch him.
Sorry.
He's resourceful.
All right, good morning, good afternoon.
Hi.
Good day. We're gonna go ahead and get started. We're starting a little late. We have people on the bridge, so, this is, an AEC, Avtex Employee Council initiative to try and help provide, some different opportunities to refresh skills, learn new skills, work through some areas that we thought a lot of people had asked for benefit from. Today we're gonna focus on client service and dealing with situations that may arise, and John Hay is our facilitator. We've got about 20 people remote. We are recording, so I would ask if you're in the back and asking questions, make sure that if John doesn't restate so that they can hear, that you try and speak up or come to the front. So without further ado, Mr. Hay.
Elaine, thank you so much. It's great to be here. We're going to talk about client service today. I feel a little bit like I'm preaching to the choir because I think what I've seen of statistics and the culture and the interaction I've had with the company, you're very focused on client service and providing super client service. So what I'm going to talk about today may be a reminder or a refresher. It may reinforce some of the things you already know and already do. And there may be a few things in here that will be new or things that you can take and apply in your daily business life as it relates to client service. So hopefully you'll walk out of here with just 2 or 3 concepts, 2 or 3 ideas that you can take back and be more effective in your role in terms of serving clients, whether they be internal clients or whether they be external clients. So let's talk about client service. In dealing with difficult clients, the first thing that I think we have to understand and we have to know clearly is that we need the clients more than they need us. The clients have lots of options. There's lots of competitors in this business. There's lots of companies in this town and across the country that can deliver technology that Avtex delivers. So they have a lot of options. And when the client chooses not to do business with Avtex, well, that's a dark day. That's a challenge for us because growing this business profitably requires us to continually add good clients to our portfolio of clients. So when you think of the premise that we need them more than they need us, it kind of tees up how we have to view our relationship with the client and our interaction with the client. We need to make sure that that's a positive experience that continues the relationship as opposed to disrupt or stop the relationship. So mission. This is the mission of Avtex. Our mission is to use technology know-how to enable our clients to deliver exceptional experience to their customers. That's the core of what Avtex does. Does everybody know that mission? Has everybody seen that mission? Everybody lives that mission. Okay, that's what a mission statement is all about. Mission statement is a shared set of values that get reflected in behavior and help everybody achieve a common goal. So that's the mission of Avtex. Let's talk about what the purpose of business is. So this is a multiple choice answer. I'm going to ask you to give me what you think the correct answer is. Purpose of business: to make money, to create jobs, to be involved in community service, to provide tax revenue, or to serve clients. If you had to choose one of those, who would choose option A? Good. How about B? All right. C? I had to choose one.
Oh.
D? Okay, E.
Is there multiple choice? Or multiple?
Who said to make money? Okay, your name again was
Steve.
Dave. Okay, Steve. We're in business to make money, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't you forget. All right. Now, Steve, that was true, then you and I could go out and start this business. We're gonna go out and make calls on potential clients. We're gonna try to get an appointment with the decision makers. I'm gonna say yes or no. That's where our sales people are. We're gonna go and send orders, get a lot of rejection. Here's our pitch. I'm working with John and his business, and we're making money. We need a little bit of your time, so you can help us with this project. Good, too, so.
They'd like it closer to the mic, sorry.
And we're suited up, we look at how long it's gonna take for us to get our first appointment. What do you think? Come on. Everybody agree with that? I don't think so, So if you don't remember anything else from our time here together, purpose of business is to serve clients. The outcome of doing that well is that we will make a fair profit. So making money is the outcome of running a successful business, not the purpose. It's the result of great client service. All right, so you did okay on that one. Let me give you another one. Profits. Multiple choice answer again. Profits are bad. Probably learned that in college. Profits are good. You didn't learn that in college. Profits really don't make any difference. You know, as long as we have enough cash to make payroll, that's okay. They should be outlawed, or they should be taxed at 100%. Okay? A? How many are in favor of A? How about B? Oh, look at that. Okay. Profits are good. Yes, that is the correct answer. There are some people who think they should be taxed at 100%, but that's not really fair. So, yes, the answer is good. As a result of great client service, running an efficient company, expense control, all of the things that make a company run continuous improvement. And to bring this up close and personal, profits are the purchase of future employment. Let me say that again. Profits are the purchase of future employment. Your employment and the employment of people who can join the company if we're successful in profitably growing the company. So profits are really important, not only to the company, but to you, your employment, new team members, growth, and also financial stability. Client service. How many employees does Avtex have? Anybody know? About 170. That's the number I've heard as I've talked to people. Okay. How many salespeople do we have? Anybody know the number?
170.
Okay, very good. 170, that's correct. Everybody impacts sales no matter where they are in the organization. That's that moment of truth when we have an opportunity to interact with the client, and from that interaction, either something positive or negative will occur from that. We have an opportunity to affect that interaction or that transaction. So the marketing funnel, and I've got the marketing funnel over here, drawn up here. So the marketing funnel, it starts with an idea. Then our salespeople do need determination, do an analysis. They come up with a solution. They make a presentation. They get an order. The order has to be processed. Then the product has to be designed and installed. Then we have to train on that product. Then we have to build the product. Then we have to collect on that. And then we have to do ongoing training and development. And we have to do ongoing service. All of those things are part of the process of us engaging with a client. And every one of those is a marketing opportunity to show how good we are and how client-focused we are. People who do the billing is a clear, understandable bill part of marketing. It affects the client relationship. When we do collections, we can collect by threatening to break somebody's arm, or we can have a conversation about how we can collect that bill in a client service-focused way. Client service opportunities happen all through the organization, so everyone in the organization, no matter what position you're in, has an impact on how we're going to be perceived by the client. So our salespeople have to do the front-end work, but everybody in the organization has to make certain that we do all that's necessary to make sure that client relationship is as positive as it possibly can be. So repeat business, when we do this correctly, we get repeat business. We also generate profits, and every employee affects the client. So the boat won't go if we don't all row. We've got to be heading the same direction. Let's talk about client service versus the client experience. So client service, that's an opportunity to serve. It's solving a problem normally. It's fixing the client. And those are all things that are important to provide good client service. But the client experience is a notch above that. The client experience is really understanding and meeting the client's needs. Really meeting the client's needs and being easy to do business with. How can we be easy to do business with? Making that interaction with Avtex an enjoyable experience, one that they want to repeat. The client experience is how the client perceives it, and ultimately that's who makes the final judgment on whether we've provided great client service. So, why is the client so important? Why should we care? Because the client is the only one who's putting money into the business. Everyone else is taking money out. You take it out in terms of payroll, benefits, heat, light, overhead, computers, everything. Everybody's on the dole. Taxes, all of those things take money out of the business. The only part of the business equation that's putting money in the business is the client. And when the client chooses not to write a check to Avtex, that's a dark day. That's a day which is going to cause us difficulty in achieving our goals and objectives of profitable growth. So the client plays a critical role. When you understand that, when you're interacting with a client, and you think, well, the client is the only one putting money into the business, how do I need to handle that relationship to make certain that they continue to write us checks and continue to put money into the business? So the client experience, winning and keeping clients. That's the purpose of the business. Everyone works for the client. We all have a role in delivering that client service. You're either serving the client or you're serving somebody who is serving the client. Client issues get resolved regardless of cause. Regardless of cause. So there is no blame game that you can play. And handling difficult clients. You know, resistance. So Colleen, if you could put your fork down for just a second. So just put your hand up against mine. Okay. Okay, this way. Okay. Okay. Now, what happens when I push against Colleen's hand? What does she instinctively do? Push back. Okay. I want you to think about this as a client relationship. You run into a difficult client, and the client's pushing on you to do something. They're not very friendly or nice about it. And what do? If you start to push back, what happens in that relationship? Pull and tug and shove and argue. And what do we accomplish as a result of that? As a client experience? A negative experience. That moment of truth becomes a negative. So when you're dealing with clients, you need to be able to step back. When you get that push, natural response of pushing back should turn into the natural response of asking questions, probing, understanding better what the situation is. How do we make a mistake? How can I help you to improve that situation? Let me see if I can find the resources to do that. That's the nature of the conversation that creates that client experience, not pushing back against the client. So, you are the company. I'm going to talk about 12 kind of key things that relates to you and the company. First of all, clients talk to you, not the company. They talk to you, not the company. So client service is very personal. People buy from people. It's still a relationship business, this business of client service. So relationships are important. Problems are always opportunities, and solving client problems builds lasting relationships. So when we solve a problem, we increase and build that relationship with the client. Makes that relationship stronger. Your attitude is the business, so great service starts with a great attitude. And attitude, your attitude, my attitude, that's what we're in control of. We have a choice as to how we perceive things. So I always like to ask the question, would you like to talk to you? Think about that. I'm on the phone, but I like to be talking to me and the way I'm responding to this. So you choose your attitude. Positive can-do attitudes result in great client relationships. Okay, there's one judge of great service. We talked about that. It's the client. It's what the client thinks that matters. How do we serve and how do we rate from the client's perspective? Now, clients don't think of themselves as clients. They think of themselves as people first and clients second. So this is really personal when we're interacting with clients and people in organizations. So you've got to look and learn to view the problems through their eyes and be that client hero. Number 5, there's no right way to talk to the clients. Now, every situation has a little bit of a nuance and a little bit difference to it. So each problem is different, each conversation is different, that interaction is personal. You have to have that kind of situational awareness about how we're going to take action in this particular situation. Talk to the clients, talk to the company. You're really the voice of the client inside the company. You get that feedback from the front lines if you're dealing directly with clients. So you want to share those with your manager or supervisor and suggest ways for improvement. Pass along those client messages. Number 7, care about the client. It's not enough to take care of the client. You really have to have that caring feeling. Great client service comes from that internal feeling of caring for the client. Everybody has a bad day once in a while. And you're going to run into that in client service, either internal or external. The important thing is when you're in client service, don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. If someone's having a bad day, it's not you they're attacking. It's just that they're having a particular problem that day personally. So stress is a part of the business environment. Great service is more than just a transaction. It creates that bond. Number 8, solve problems that create opportunities. Everybody makes mistakes. We do the best we can to be error-free, but we do make mistakes. So when we can turn a slip-up into a solution, we can build a stronger client relationship. Kind of shows how good we can be and how we can perform to their expectations. And when we do that, we really create clients for life. Listen and learn. Complaints can generate and improve, make improvements. Share the problem with your manager. Sometimes small complaints can make big improvements. So we want to be a learning organization. What do we learn from this experience? How can we share it with others? How can we as an organization be more effective at solving that problem in the future? Try to anticipate problems, look for patterns, kind of look out on the horizon to see what's going on. Is this something I've seen before? Is this something that we can learn to handle better in the future? Be open and honest and be part of the solution. So every call is a judgment call. When you're with a client and you're making a decision, it's a judgment call. But the more you know about the products and services that Avtex provides, the more effective you can be in making that judgment call. So I think everybody in the organization has an obligation to really understand what it is that Avtex is all about. What's our mission? Use common sense. And I don't know about you, but it seems like common sense is a lot less common these days than it's been in the past. Yeah, amen. All right. So use common sense. And I think you also need to bend the rules appropriately. I mean, we really can't have a policy that covers everything or perfectly fits every situation. So sometimes we have to make judgments. And maybe they're just a little bit outside the lines, and we need to bend the rules just a little bit to make certain that we can provide that exceptional client service. And ask for help. You don't have to go it alone. No stupid questions. If you run into a difficult problem, you know, it's okay to say, well, I need to talk to my manager, or I need to talk to somebody else in the organization. Go ahead and think about elevating that if you need to. Share the knowledge and expertise, elevate those situations, and that leads to continuous improvement. So I want you to take a look at this website. did that website say? Opportunity is now here. Did anybody see anything else?
Opportunity is nowhere.
Opportunity is nowhere. Interesting. So what did your so what did your brain tell you? You know, it's interesting. When I show that, most of the time, this is the response I get. Opportunity is nowhere. As opposed to opportunity is now here. So the brain tends to go negative. That's just human nature. We're wired to go to the negative side. So, and negative is contagious, and it can amplify. So when you're in client service, you have to make certain you stay on that positive side. Look for where the opportunities can be, because every interaction with a client is an opportunity to serve and have that moment of truth be a positive versus a negative. So opportunity is now here. The client, we need them more than they need us. The purpose of business, serving clients. Profits are the purchase of future employment. Client service, everybody's in this boat together. The client experience, clients for life, the client is putting money in the business. Those are things we have to remember when we're on the client service front lines. So, client talks to you, attitude is most important. Clients are the judge, clients are people, no right way. You are the voice of the client. Care, problems equal opportunities, listen and learn, anticipate problems, look for those moments of truth, and make certain that you ask for help when you run into a difficult situation. I don't think there's any word that's more important in businesses today than the word collaboration. None of us can go it alone. Business is complex and crosses lines. So developing that collaborative attitude. How do I work with other parts of the business? How do I work with clients? How do I develop that collaborative attitude? And when you think about working in the business, think about that word collaboration. How do I collaborate more effectively? And one of some of the keys to collaboration is the words we use. So I think words are really powerful. Oftentimes, what you say is less important than how you say it. And so be careful about words, because words are what are used to program the brain. That's how the brain gets programmed. And so we have to be very careful about what we say to each other, what we say to clients. We also have to be very careful what we say to ourselves, because we do have this little voice inside our head that continually talks to us, that little mental chatter. So plural pronouns versus singular pronouns. We use we, us, and our versus I, me, and mine. Disagree without being disagreeable. Argue without being argumentative. And creative confrontation, raising issues in a creative way, not a destructive way. Those are all options and choices we have when we communicate. Crossing the line. I want to share a couple of things with crossing the line. So in everything, there's a line. On one side of the line, there's a lesser chance for good things to happen. We can settle for less. On the left side, there's negative people that can have a negative influence on us and our life. There's that inner voice that sometimes can talk negative. Oh, I don't feel good. I'm not a good person. I wish I was smarter. I wish that hadn't happened. All that negative voice that could go on. Status quo on the left side. Being average is on the left side. Crossing the line over to the other side is where positive people live. That's where people you admire, that's where better results, better relationships occur, that's where more responsibility, a greater chance for good, choosing to care, and more opportunity. So when you think about client service, you want to be on that right side. You want to cross that line. So crossing the line, you have a choice. You have a choice. You either want to be on that right side or you don't, and that's yours to choose. You want things to be better or you don't. So it's time to cross the line. Let's talk about what that entails. It's challenging, kind of simple, but it's not easy. First of all is choice. You have to decide, you have to make that choice. You have to commit to excellent client service. That's a choice that you make every day when you get up and come into the location. You have to work hard. Good client service takes hard work. And I wish I had a silver bullet for you this morning or this afternoon that said, you know, here's all you have to do to make this job a lot easier. But it takes hard work. And little things can make a big difference. And that's why I think when we're in client service, sometimes you, should I do that? Should I write a follow-up note? Should I write a thank you note? Should I do sometimes those little things can make a great difference. So at 211 degrees, water is hot. At 212 degrees, what happens to water? What does it create when it boils? Steam. And what can steam do? It can power a city. 1 little degree goes from hot water to powering a city or a locomotive. And I want you to think about that in terms of client service. That one little extra thing I do, that one little extra step I take, can make a big difference between whether that client leaves with that great client experience or leaves without that good feeling that Avtex is a great company to do business with. So always be thinking about that one little extra thing that you can do. Focus. Eliminate distractions and stay focused on delivering great service. Do things with intention and use your time wisely. We all get 24 hours. You don't get 25. You don't get 23. We all get 24. You can't bake them. You can't save them. You can't. You get 24, regardless of who you are, what age you are, what color you are. You all get 24. So use that time wisely. That's really, really important. Resilience. You need to embrace change. And changing is not a function of capacity. Change is a function of choice. We all have the capacity to change. We simply have to make the choice to do that. So embrace change, learn from your mistakes, bounce back. Challenges make you stronger. There's an old saying that a smooth sea does not make a great sailor. So we would all like to say, oh, I'd like to come in today and like to have no problems today. Just no problems. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Well, what would you learn from that experience? Not much. So you need to welcome those problems because they help you build a stronger you and help you get better at client service. Don'ts. Here are a few don'ts that I have for client service. Don't leave the client on hold. Don't take things personally. That's one of the things you really have to understand when you're doing client service. Don't take it personally. Don't abandon the client. Don't leave the client's questions unanswered. Don't be rude. Don't throw a coworker under the bus. And don't tell a client you're going to do something unless you have every intention of doing it. All right. So the challenge. Great client service. You need to choose to be the best. You got to work hard. You got to stay focused. You got to be resilient. Those are all important things in client service. So when clients like what we do, several things happen. They give us the business. They're loyal. And they refer other good clients. And that helps us expand the business and grow profitably. So clients see you as the solution. When they make that call and when they have a question, you help them minimize problems. You help them capture opportunities, and you assist them in maximizing their strengths. They look to you for support. They see a long-term relationship. That's clients for life. You can help them solve problems. They appreciate you by sending their money and giving us referrals. They enjoy doing business with us, and they create relationships that they just won't find anyplace else. That's what we're trying to create in that client experience. So we are here to make good things happen for other people. That's what you need to enjoy doing that. You know, if you don't enjoy doing that, you probably shouldn't be in client service. But we're here to make good things happen for other people. If you're not getting up in the morning and saying, how can I make some people happy today, and how can I really provide exceptional client service, you may be in the wrong job or the wrong business. Because that's what this is all about, serving clients. So dealing with difficult clients. We need them more than they need us. So we need to have that attitude when we approach client service. Questions, comments, feedback? Tell me, any ahas, anything that you heard you said, well, you know, that's something I knew about, but I kind of got it back forward. Any things that you heard about or that you saw that said, you know, I've forgotten that, or I need to amp that up, or I need to remember to do that more often? Yes.
I like the crossing the line.
Crossing the line.
A different take on, kind of delving into your own personal perspective and also giving yourself an opportunity to look at how your attitude is impacting other people. Oftentimes we don't realize what we give out is what we get back.
Yeah.
And we love to blame. So I like that crossing the line, pushing yourself to go be more positive.
Get on the other side of that line.
Yeah.
And when we do that, good things happen. They simply do. Anything else? Yeah.
What ideas do you have for raising the barometer if people are being negative? I mean, one option is to walk away, but you know, occasionally it happens, and even within an organization, you know, itself, just pressures and things are happening. So, what have you found effective to raise the barometer to help people think, to help other people maybe cross the line with you?
Yeah. So first of all, making sure that your attitude is in the right place. Are you talking about interacting with a client, or are you talking about working with people internally?
Well, I think what we do internally, that'll spill over if we're not happy. So,
Because some clients are internal.
yes,
I mean,
true.
not,
Yeah, our way of serving is serving other people. If they're serving the clients, that could be an example. So, I've been in other, company contexts where there was a lot of negativity, and it was a challenge at times not to get caught up in it.
Yeah, I would say one of the things when we get into conflicting situations.
By the way, I like people are happy. I mean, I enjoy being around here. But I just like to hear your observations. Okay. No, but what have you found to help
So a couple of things. One is when I get in conflicting situations, or when I get into a push, kind of that push-shove situation, sometimes it's valuable or important to take a break. I don't necessarily think we need to stay in that intense situation. We can simply say, hey, this isn't going well. Why don't we take a break and come back in 5 minutes and re-energize the discussion? I think that there's nothing wrong with taking a break. I think one of the other things that's really important when you're dealing with client services is the deliberate pause. As opposed to coming right back with something, allowing 2 or 3 seconds of pause in the conversation or in the discussion allows a little bit of air in the conversation, and sometimes it allows people to settle down a little bit or to think through what they've just said, rather than pounding right on top of what's just been said. And that gets the push and pull going much stronger. So those are a couple of things that I found that have helped in those situations.
Well, online there's a comment from Bertie that says she thought the idea around people gravitating towards negativity by default was interesting.
Yes.
Can you share anything about that with us?
Yes. So the brain is wired to go negative. And unless we choose to go positive, the brain defaults to the negative side. So it will look at the dark side as opposed to the positive side. Why do you think the news has bad news on it? Is it because that's all the news that's out there?
People are drawn to it for ratings.
For ratings. And why are people drawn to it? Because the brain goes negative by default. So unless we consciously choose our attitude positively, we will automatically default to the negative. And sometimes, people wonder why people are so crappy when they come into work. Okay, so they watched the evening news last night, What did they see?
Problems.
Problems, okay? They got up in the morning and they had to deal with whatever family situation they had to deal with in the morning, probably some problems. Then they had to drive in traffic,
The radio.
and then they listened to talk radio on the way in. And they get here and they're negative, and you say, well, why are you so negative? Well, because that's where I've just lived for the last 12 hours. I lived on the negative side. And so you have to be really careful. And I talked earlier about you have to be careful about what you allow in your brain. So words program the brain. So anything that's negative that's coming in, I have to filter that out. And the other part of that is that internal talk, that talk track. You have to be very careful about what you say to yourself, because you can get on the negative track internally, which will cause you to have a bad attitude. So sometimes when I'm just thinking, and remember this mental chatter that you have, this talk track, internal talk, it goes on all day, every day, 24 hours a day. The brain is doing something. It never stops. And so you have to be very careful what that brain is doing. And if it's starting to do things negative, you have to go in and stop it and turn it to a positive.
Don, her question is, she wonders if there's a purpose by default from our human makeup that us going negative assists with, like, you know, caveman days or, you know, she did say that, I'm saying that.
Yeah, no.
There must be a reason, or is there a connection there that?
It relates back to the beginning of humankind. We always have been on the automatic to the negative, because back in the days of the hunter-gathering days, I mean, you better be watching for the negative, because if you didn't, your life was shortened up considerably. So it's a carryover from the behaviors that have been ingrained into the brain over the time of humans, the time human beings have been on the earth. And it just is, it's an automatic.
Your push-pull analogy was interesting, and I think a tool that we can use that is effective is empathy.
Empathy.
You know, when a customer says, I'm having a problem with X, the first thing you can say is, well, I'm very sorry. That must be, you know, difficult. Let's see what we can do about it. Just by doing that, you're already on their side.
So the comment is empathy, and there's two things that we can feel. We can feel sympathy, which is different than empathy. Sympathy is actually stepping inside the person's shoes and feeling exactly like they feel. And I really don't want to go there, because that puts me into a negative mode as well. Empathy, what Ilya is talking about, empathy, is that I'm not going to step in your shoes and feel like you feel, but I am going to understand how you feel. But I'm going to stay outside that. So empathy is the right word. We want to be empathetic, but not sympathetic when we deal with client problems.
We have another online one. Cam is asking, as the experts in our area, sometimes our delivery can be thought of as an argument when really we are trying to deliver a recommendation, a best practice, etc. In these scenarios, it is not the best practice to back down, but to effectively communicate the reasons for your requirements. Any suggestions on how to deliver that effectively?
What I think my comment would be, like I said earlier, oftentimes it's not what we say, it's how we say it. So I think you need to take a look at, how am I delivering that message? Am I delivering that message in the most positive, client-focused way I possibly can? Or does my message have a I'm better than you, or I know more than you attitude underlying the message? And I think that's what we really have to be focused on, is making certain that we are listening to ourselves. Remember, I said earlier, you know, would you want to be talking to you? How am I coming across? And oftentimes we have to stop and really think about that to make certain that we're coming across properly and positively. Talked about those pronouns. What pronoun are we using? Are we using the we pronoun or the I pronoun? This is how we need to do this to be successful, Mr. and Mrs. Client. Not, this is how I am going to force you to do this to make sure you get this done right. It's those pronouns that are more collaborative than they are individual that help the conversation move forward and minimize the pushback from the client.
There's another comment online from First Cam says thank you, but David also said straight delivery without fluff, positioned positively also works. I would also say sometimes reframing the question, putting it from the perspective, so if I'm in operations big surprise, my focus is operational. But if I can sometimes step out of how I say it and say, as a client, what am I going to experience and how is that gonna work for me? I can reset my operational expectations or put my person, get them to say, well, if you were encountering following an order through your organization, how would this impact your experience and your decisions? And it can get that conversation to stop being about the message and have a rounded discussion.
There?
You're good?
Kind of recap the comment of, would you like to be talking to you right now, really at home, because connected so many different levels, basically your emotions, you're calling, you want a certain level of understanding and response, very easily kind of take the kind of questions that we had gotten called for, and kind of have a tell them really them questions and do a lot more pleasant, lifeless, energetic kind of stuff.
So we are all clients of businesses. We buy stuff in the marketplace, right?
Can you repeat? They couldn't hear on the phone. Let's see if that.
So, Steve, it was the
I'm talking to you.
comment of, would you like to talk to you? And really thinking about that when you're on the phone, is what I'm saying something I'd like to hear if I was on the other side of this conversation. So now we are all clients, we all buy products. Has anybody ever had a bad experience when they've been trying to buy something? We all have. We've all had those bad experiences. And you sit on the phone or you sit talking to somebody and they say, just listen to me. I think one of the other things that's useful in client service is what's called active listening, which is repeating the question, clarifying what it is we're talking about. So what I hear you saying is, or let me make sure I understand. So this is what the specific problem is, making certain that we are clear about what we're talking about. Sometimes, because we're so good at client service, and we've heard this so many times, sometimes we can go into an automatic response, and we can miss a small nuance in the question or the comment or the problem. We go off solving a problem or giving an answer that doesn't hit on target with what the client is actually asking us to do. So that active listening, restating the question, restating what it is the problem is really important. Other questions? Yes.
I have a comment mostly around the importance to care about the client, and the client absolutely is number one, and that's our main focus. But within the client structure are individuals, and I think sometimes it's hard to love the unlovelies. So the client issue is something we need to resolve, but sometimes it's so difficult because there's a key point or individual that makes it hard to get past the issue because of the dynamic between that person.
So the question is, sometimes the comment is, sometimes when we're working with a client, we have people that seem to be on our side and get it, and then you've got maybe an outlier who just is a burr in your side or doesn't want to collaborate or cooperate. This often happens when a decision is made at a higher level, a CEO or a top level, and the decision is made without involving the people who are actually going to have to implement it in the organization. So the top level people make the decision, and now all of a sudden the internal people who have to implement it are saying, well, who made this decision? Well, this wouldn't have been my decision. And they can start to dig in their heels and make life difficult for the company to implement what's already been decided by upper management. And that takes some real great problem solving skills, some great questions, and trying to get people on your team who weren't on your team to begin with. Anything else? Okay, great. Well, thank you for attending today. I appreciate you all being here. Go out and deliver some great client service this afternoon.